Welcome. Thanks for coming on the channel. Thanks for being willing to talk to me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me and making the time. Same right back to you.
Yeah. So just can't wait to get to know you a little bit and a little bit more about Freenote Cloth. So maybe let's just start off just simply by telling us a little bit about yourself. You and your brother Matt running this company together. You're starting it. Yeah, tell us about yourself.
Well, it's nice. My brother and I used to do these interviews together. It's always it just gets funky who's kicking each other under the table to answer the questions. So we've divided up a few just interviews the past month, but this is my first one I've done in actually a couple of years. So it feels refreshing to talk to you. So thank you again. But I'm the youngest of four, and my partner's my brother Matt. He's 4 years older. We were very close growing up, but that 4-year gap. Somebody's in 8th grade, they're in 12th grade. So there's obviously a gap, growing up friends wise and stuff like that. But we always did stick together. Surfing, skiing, snowboarding, like fun kid activities when we were younger, which we still do now. He kind of brought me along always, and no different than Freenote. We were always into denim, but he introduced me to selvedge denim. But we always knew we wanted to work together. So even though he was always 4 years ahead of my mind, we always knew we wanted to work together. So quickly going over, we grew up in Florida, went to school in Florida, and then moved up to California in 2003 together. We worked for a company in action sports called Electric, which was kind of a high energy, great style, great product. We made sunglasses, goggles, all sunglasses made in Italy, really premium goggles, great to just stuff that functioned. Sunglasses great for the beach, and a good goggle product that obviously worked on the mountains. That became relevant to Freenote in that we were always kind of surrounded by really good product. It had nothing to do with clothing. Certainly had nothing to do with making product in LA. But going back to my brother and I, we worked with that company now for 2003 to the end of 2013. So 10 years working together. Company was small when we started there. And then I think when we left, there was maybe 30, 40 employees. So I don't know what they call that, but it felt like a mid-sized company. There's offices, like we had offices, not like, with cubicles and stuff. But that 10-year journey, so let's say from when I'm 22 to 32, just like amazing learning business, getting out on your own, paying for your own bills. That experience was, paramount to the two of us launching Freenote. Even though we were in action sports and now we're in a much more heritage, workwear, made well environment, there is a maturity part of it too. The surf, snow, action sports industry can be a little younger, and that you're making product for younger generations. But so kind of natural to progress into better made clothing products. But we came from a really well-run company that made really cool functional product. I didn't realize how important it was when we started Freenote, but I see it now as I start to sometimes buy things online, and like it's all about the product and the branding, the marketing, the image means so little to me. And I think that's natural for anybody getting older. Is it a functional product? Freenote's always made a functional product, but now I kind of appreciate what we do more, even though we've been making jeans for 5 years or whatever. But background for my brother. We grew up in Florida, moved out to California together, basically just worked for a company for 10 years. And when we felt stable enough, we started Freenote. I guess that was our mindset. We kind of felt comfortable. I get not everybody can relate to this specific point, but when you work somewhere for 10 years and then you move on to start your own brand, company, whatever you want to call it, it's like just like stressful. It's like a risk that you're not totally prepped for, even though you have 10 years of work behind you. But what's cool about that is I'm talking to my brother, like we grew up together. We worked together. We worked together forever, really. The whole career we've been working together. So that's pretty cool. But with Freenote, we'll always be partners. We'll always be working together. We'll always share in what we do. It's we both work very hard. So,
so what are you guys passionate about? Like, whether in concept or like hobbies and stuff like that, and stuff that maybe comes through in the products and pieces that you guys design together.
Yeah, I think I mentioned we still surf and snowboard a ton.
Okay, cool.
Now we have our children that we're raising, and they're into that too. So that's obviously even more fun to pass it on. But work has just taken over our lives, and not in a negative way. Like, our families are involved. We have a great team. I guess they're employees, but just, we got great team members, and work is so much part of our life. And then it comes to that old adage, if you're having fun at work, is it really work? Now our passion is totally making clothing. That's not something we would have said years ago. Like, we love working with all our LA factories, which is 3 mostly, with 2 others. Let's say 5. I know it comes across as kind of cheesy, but we're really passionate about making jeans. A recent passion within Freenote is making leather. We have the ability to do that, so we're passionate about it. But the leather part was not a lifelong passion or something we were into 2 years ago. But all the new passions that come in, they do all revolve around Freenote in a really positive way. Not like I don't mind waking up in the middle of the night thinking about, well, even that T-shirt that you're wearing. I just made a few little changes to it. We're making the same exact T-shirt. I just made a few little changes to it. And when those things wake you up in the middle of the night or wake up early in the morning, that doesn't bother me. Even though I'm coming across as sounding obsessive about making clothes. We're starting to get past the stressful point of just business finances. Just, do you have enough money to pay the bill for the day?
Mm-hmm.
And then Corona started. It's tough to be passionate about making clothes and having that stress there. But if we can just kind of keep that stress and keep our bills paid and shops paid up, and every penny we get, we're just giving right to the manufacturers and fabric makers, mostly in Japan, but even sending wires to Italy and Japan, just keeping all that up to speed. Coming back to the original question, the passion, as cheesy as it sounds, is right now is making clothes. And I know my brother feels the same way.
Yeah.
We're not twins and have the same thoughts, but we do like making clothes, and we do still surf and snowboard and do the same with the kids. Recent passion that's come about since Corona, that's okay to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It'll always date this interview, the Corona times, is camping. It's just been so nice to get out.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, my family is the same. Yeah.
I'm in no rush to get on an airplane. And I got friends that get on airplanes for business mostly, and some whatever, an hour or 2 away. I can drive up the coast and see you, and it'll be beautiful and do some awesome stuff. So, outdoor stuff has been kind of a recent Corona passion, more of it. But yeah, everything will just be straight up what comes off the front of my head. But the clothing thing, we're really into. Just even before this, I had to close the shop. A few customers were, sending messages trying to get in and stuff, and we just have a small team. But I really enjoy being in the factories. I wanted to make sure the work today got done right. So, yeah, that's it. The clothing
that's
thing,
awesome.
really
no, see, I resonate with Freenote at so many levels. First, I have a brother that I'm really close with as well. So when I found out that your 2 brothers working together, that was really cool. It's California based, so even more than American made. And I buy stuff from other places too, but I do appreciate American made. But even more than that, California made, because that's where I'm at. That's I always think that's awesome. So I buy stuff from you guys. I buy stuff from Brave Star and companies like that. But then what you said really comes through, that you guys really do have a passion for what you're working on. Because when I look at even a simple T-shirt, right? But especially something more like what you're wearing, or some of the jackets you have back there and stuff. It's every little detail shows somebody's behind this, really aching over the aspects of it, all the nuances and stuff. The buttons, the zippers, the thread, what kind of zipper, all that, and that really comes through. I could have guessed that without you saying it, but you describing that adds so much more. So yeah, no, your passion for that, and I think that's another reason I resonate with it so much is I'm kind of the same. My wife asked me, or anyone, my wife teases me actually about this. So everyone's like, hey, what's your favorite color? My kids ask me, Dad, what's your favorite color? And I'm always like, well, brown. And they're like, brown? Like, well, yeah, because that's the color of leather. And then pick a real color, Dad. Okay, blue, because that's the color of denim. I just love that stuff. So I appreciate what you said. Yeah.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
You touched on the buttons, type of thread, where the thread's made, the gauge of the thread. I mean, there's so many even different indigo threads to choose from. My brother handles majority of that in Freenote, and my job is just to get that made. So concept design on my brother's end, and then obviously a lot of things are intertwined, but just being in the factories, my brother and I both we enjoy that. We enjoy seeing, and the work, you mentioned other things about the product, like like maybe branding on the buttons, or everything has to get done one way anyway. Like a button has to be made if you're making a custom button, or buttons like a physical thing, maybe the shape of a pocket. That work has to get done no matter what. So may as well do it right. I mean, people talk about branding and some of the shapes of our buttons. I mean, it has to get made. May as well make it as best as you can, especially when some of the things are just kind of design details that make the button just look nicer. But there's no cost, just time, and I guess, the passion kind of comes through in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that stuff. Like the pocket here on the tee. Again, just a t-shirt, but it's like it could be too big, it could be too small,
Yeah.
it could look sloppy, it could look super square or super like at a point or whatever. And it's like, so if you're gonna do it, you might as well
Tune
do
it
it
up.
right. And I like your pocket. Like I've had like 30 different kinds of pocket tees, and this is one of my favorites.
I use mine so much.
Yeah.
Like pens, pencils, that like I have to have a pocket on my chest somewhere. So like again, you may as well tune it up in the Freenote way. And but yeah, that pocket shape, that was a lot of work. But once it's done, like I mean, there's a fold on there and there's a bar tack. That takes a little time and different thread money, but generally speaking, you're just talking small amounts there. But it has to be done, so you may as well do it right. Or
what I use mine for the most these days is actually my mask. It's perfect.
Yeah, I'm back pocket in there. I realize all the things I sit on. I don't know where my mask is, but yeah, you're in San Fran, LA. We're like 100% masked on. So yeah, I mean, it's a functional pocket. Yeah. We get asked all the time to make T-shirts without pockets, which we'll do at some point. But then we're gonna have shirts without pockets. So it's kind of like then, it's like an extra style and extra space in the warehouse and stuff. But we enjoy the basic pocket tee. Rambling on about myself. That's what I'm supposed to do. But the T-shirt and jeans, and I got my cowboy hat somewhere here, but I'm much more T-shirt and jeans and service boots. I'm not saying that's the classics or anything, but like that kind of James Dean look is much more me. And then my brother usually wears the fancier stuff we make. But I mean, I care about a pocket tee, so
Yeah, that's great. No, that comes through. So okay. So when you guys initially started Freenote, how did that go in terms of, did people receive Freenote well? Was it like instant popularity, or was it like, man, this is an uphill fight? Or did people get you, or were they like, what are you? How did that go?
The last three things you said: uphill fight, they didn't get us, and who are we? Those are the last three things you said. Uphill fight the whole way. Nobody knew who the F we were. And making well-made product, there does need to be a history there. It's very hard to just jump in and say, hey, here's a good product. And in anything in life, you're always going to bite off more than you can chew. So my brother and I wanted to come out with a big assortment collection. And we kind of did. How much actually made it to market was a fraction of what we originally developed. Major uphill battle. It was very frustrating. It upsets me right now even thinking about it. the acceptance, um, shops that may carry us now or don't carry us, or I mean, there's really only a handful. Okay, there's a lot of brands that make product in LA, but there's only a handful that me and you resonate with, or even aware of, whatever. So let's just say, you have these, whatever, I don't know, there might be more, like the top 5 California-made, U.S.-made brands that kind of fit in there. I mean, they just weren't very accepting of us. It wasn't. I hear rumors that we were trying to steal their customers. We were new kids on the block from the surf industry with a bunch of money. Just falsehood after falsehood that gets frustrating. So, how would I see that? I would see that when we go to a store and we're like, hey, would you like to buy our products? Basically, I still do that, right? Hey, you want to buy our products? Now at least there's there's interviews like this. There's Instagram. People kind of know who we, are. But yeah, it was really frustrating. I don't know how to say it. Was it like it felt very like we were the outsiders. There was the cool kids in high school. It felt like that. That's never a good situation to talk about. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't very inclusive. And my brother and I still remember how it made us feel. And I'm not going to say you're going to ask anybody, but we will help anybody, any brand that wants to start. I've introduced so many, even competitors, to our factories. It's a free world, and we treat it very transparent and openly. You could call our competition and be like, hey, I'm working on a project. Is there a factory relationship? They tell you to beat it or hang up. We know how that felt. And we came from leaders in action sports to brand new. Who the hell are these guys?
Right.
A major uphill battle. You mentioned Brave Star. Cool. They're super, super cool. Nice. They don't fall into that category of like just kind of not being sweet, but they're super nice. But yeah, it's frustrating. It was really frustrating. Even for my brother, at times he'd be like, I don't even know if this is what I want to get. Like, it was just, it becomes a turnoff. And then it gets away from the whole reason we wanted to do this, which is basically, my brother and I wanted to make a business together that was made locally, happens to be in California, which all, happens to be in the United States, but it wasn't so like made in America centric. It was just make it in our community.
Got it.
But no, it was very much a club that, gosh, I don't want to say we had to break into because I don't want to be a part of that. Then there's the comparisons. Well, are you like this company? And it's just like, whoa, we're a couple old surf dogs that have a Western vibe because we moved out West. We like cowboys. Do you have horses? No, we're just into it, so it's, but, now we've separated ourselves from these other brands, but no, it was very much, well, I mean, there's great shops that we don't sell to because of what I'm talking about. And I'd love to sell to them, but that kind of negativity still persists. And I don't mind saying it. I'm not going to like go through brand by brand, but it was, Matt and I will never, ever do that. And that was an uphill battle. But it was also negative. Uphill battles can be positive. You blow out your knee, which I've done a few times, ACL surgery. Rehab is like the most fulfilling, vicious experience of like pain, suffering, and you're going to get back to stronger than you were before. That's a cool uphill battle. This was a little negative in that, too many comparing to other brands. Where do we fit in? Where it was more like, no, this is what we make and this is what we want to keep making better. Okay, so you have that part of it. That's a little more psychological. The physical aspect of it is it just takes time to make really good product. It absolutely takes time, takes repetition. You got to get your curves right. I mean, you got to get your, scalability of taking something to a sample to production. But that's what we're really going back to the passionate question. We're so passionate about that. We enjoy those steps that most people do enjoy. They're not like negative things. So now the uphill battle is fun. It's like we were able to put the negativity out. People understand that Freenote is different than other brands made in America. We have our own point of view. It's always been our point of view. Just takes years for that to kind of show through the brand and product. So
when was it that you finally kind of crested the hill? Like you're fighting that uphill battle and you finally feel like you gained some traction.
So two things happen. The product dictates that, and then obviously the consumers. Those are really out of our hands. I mean, we can like pull some strings, levers here and there, but it takes a factory a while to get your product right. I mean, we're still making we've been working with the same denim factory for 5 years, and I just met with them this morning, and we're just making little tweaks here and there, and things that maybe not everybody might recognize, but to get to that point where the product was really, really good, I'd say it was about a year and a half to 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, we started making really good product. The product we made 5 years ago was very good compared to what we see out there in the market. Now, sorry, I'm looking around the shop as I'm talking, but I'm just looking at specific pieces. I see pieces that we make, looking at a shirt, that other brands just don't do. And I know the complexity of them and costs. So it's, not coming from a cockiness or hubris. It's more like I'm really proud of some of the stuff we're doing now.
Yeah. So,
but that was about 2 years ago. Sorry to interrupt. That was about 2 years ago. And then now I'd say in the past year, we're like fits. Things are just so tuned up. We were talking about DMs, and I handle all our social media. Now when somebody I just give me your height and weight, I can give you a couple, we can really dial in that fit. And on the other end of it, there's plenty of items we make that don't fit people. My number one question, how come they don't make double extra large or double extra or extra small? It's like, well, I'm just trying to make ends meet at the moment. But, the past year, we've really been putting out some like beautiful product from concept all the way to finish with fit. I'm wearing a pair of jeans that are years before the time I'm talking about. So it's not that we made bad product then. It's gotten so much better. Then there's the old saying, owner of a restaurant told me this like years ago in Santa Cruz at that little one light town up north of Santa Cruz.
I don't know. There's all kinds
Davenport.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this food's amazing. I was on the road. I think I was showing the line to Standard and Strange, and I always try to kick over to the coast to catch a surf or something at night. And owner of the restaurant came over. He's like, oh, I'm glad you enjoy it. Thanks for coming. He's like, the best is yet to come. And he meant it. Totally meant it. That I feel like that for Freenote. I truly feel like the best is yet to come. Because all those little tweaks now, we can really take a really well-made, well-fitting garment and actually make it slightly better. So 2 years ago, I felt good about that. So that would be going into fall, this time 2018. For the consumer to catch on, they've always had our back. Consumers always liked what Freenote or my brother and I were putting out. Or they've always at least accepted us or respected what we put out. They respected the process, even though our consumers might not be huge garmentos and know what did it start to finish. Gosh, our supporters have always had our back. It just gets to a point where you need a little more of that. That also kind of happened about 2 years ago, So, I don't know. I should definitely be reading more in my life. I haven't read enough books, but I have read one book that said the old 3 years to start a business is now 5 years. That's Freenote right there, 5 years. So, it's taken 5 years for us to get here, which now we're, able to have some profit, pay back some debt. We have a team of 5 people. Every month we got some debt to pay. That's for sure. We built up some debt building the brand. So that old 3 years, it's now 5 years, I think is totally relevant to Freenote. And then, I don't know, with Corona, that's just a whole nother situation that we're just talking about the business part. So pardon me if I'm not being sensitive to the true health of people that have been affected with Corona, but we are just talking about business. So I'll put that aside. Then that was just a huge monkey wrench of like, we're on this path. And then that it didn't derail us, but it was a possibility there to derail us. Yeah. I interrupted you 5 minutes ago. I know you had a question.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all about the same stuff. So what I wanted to see, you were talking about developing these products, right? And they weren't bad to begin with, right? They're pretty good, but you've evolved them so much, and you're proud of these products because it's your hard work, and you're really happy with how they're turning out. So maybe walk us through one or two of the notable ones. Like maybe it's a certain cut of denim or a certain thing. Like maybe it's the shirt or the utility shirt you guys have, which I know you've had for a while. Maybe walk us through like where that started and some of the tweaks you made and where it ended up. Not to say you need to reveal your secret sauce or whatever.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I even preface this. We're open book, man. The closed doors we came up against starting the company, we will not. We'll have our doors open. It's not. I mean, like I said, I've introduced our competition to factories that I was just at today. Like it should be free, or the information should be free rather. Like, I don't expect somebody to jump through a million hoops, have all this education. You got to do it yourself, kid. No, it's like, you got to pass it on, so with the utilities, an easy one to talk about because we made that from the start. So my brother designed that shirt 2013. That was a shirt that the fit actually just came out like excellent all the way. There hasn't been a lot of changes to that shirt, but I can go over a few. So when my brother located the fabric for that shirt, it's this Japanese like sateen heavy twill fabric. It doesn't look anything like the final product that has done so well for us. That's been a great core product that's sold well. We all wear it. It's called the Utility. It is a very utilitarian, functional product. Oversized pockets are awesome. I always say it looks good in the garage, and you can wear it out on a date. It's very, it can hit both elements well there. But that fabric, when my brother first showed it to me, I was like, well, it wasn't anything close to what it became because that goes through a stone wash. Stone washing requires stones, pumice, and a lot of water. It's not the best thing to do for the environment, but in this case, it takes a fabric and improves it for us to wear. Where raw denim is great raw. That wasn't the case for the Utility shirt. Great thing you brought that shirt up. That shirt, to buy the fabric alone, is $5,000 because it's made specifically for Freenote. So using rough numbers, say 5,000 yards makes 500 meters. Most fabric baseline, you're looking at about $10 a yard. Most shirts have about 2.5 yards of fabric in them. So that's $25 of just fabric. That no design, no washing, no treatment, no finishing, no pressing, no buttons, no thread, no sewing, no development, no sample, no marking, no grading, no cutting. Just $25 into it. I enjoy debating with people, but I can get a little almost ticked off when people say our product costs too much money. And obviously over Instagram, I don't have the time to say, hey, there's $25 of fabric in that. That's just fabric. A lot of fabrics we use are up to $15, $16, $17, $20 a yard fabric. You're at $60 of fabric and you haven't even done anything with it. Just you're looking at it. So every time you change the color of the Utility shirt, going back to the purchase of it, that's a whole nother dye lot of fabric. So if you want two colors, well, you're looking at $10,000 of fabric. So, when you're trying to start the company, you don't have much money. Those were really like tricky things. So we started with charcoal, which the fabric looks black, gets stone washed, and it turns into this beautiful charcoal, soft hand feel, final product there. So that also has a shrinkage. I know it's because we made it so long, is a 5x2. So you go by north, south, east, west, 5% one way, 2% the other. And the fabric comes from Japan. It is so reliable. Every time we get it, we know the shrinkage that goes right to it. So we're using the same pattern for the Utility shirt. If we use a different fabric for the Utility shirt, that would require a different pattern. But because we use that fabric over and over again, just in different colors, I know I'm being boring for most of the viewers, but other viewers will know we make it in charcoal, khaki, and olive. That's the same fabric, just different colors. That's been, you never know if a product's going to last that long, but that product has done really well for us. We all wear it. It's great for, again, a date night, working. California, it's a great shirt because of the weight on it. You can wear it as like kind of a jacket, like 50 degrees out type weather. Sorry, lost my mind here. Mostly with the Utility, we use the same fabric, just different colors. So it goes through that same 5x2 shrinkage. I was explaining this to one of our new team members last week. We have a shirt we do called the Calico, or we could name any Lancaster. We'll do Lancaster somewhere in it.
I love that one, the Lancaster, by the way.
Every Lancaster we do is a different pattern because the shrinkage is different. And if you use a different fabric, the fit can also be. So this is a very loose fitting. This fabric is very loose, airy. It can be worn a little slimmer because it'll open up and let the air in. Where if it was a heavier denim, which we've done in Lancaster, you have to open up that pattern. So if we have 6 Lancasters, that's 6 different patterns. It's just That's a big undertaking for work. So that's the sort of information I'd love sharing with people. From one, it's like, shows off in a way of how much work goes into the product. But if someone were to start a company and they're like, hey, I want to make this shirt, I'm trying to do different fabrics, that would be a learning experience we would go through. It would be, hey, every fabric's going to need a different fit, even if the shrinkage is the same, because it'll feel or fit differently as it's put together. But
And
coming up, it's been a great shirt, and
yeah,
you nailed that one by asking about a product that we've made from start to finish. I mean, we just got some in, a couple weeks ago.
and not to cut you off, but just to interject that the craftsmanship comes through, right? So take your typical shirt you buy on Amazon, and if you look at the reviews, you'll see stuff like this come through, right? You get all these people, some people love it, some people hate it, but in the middle, you got people saying like, just stuff like, hey, I love the shirt, but I bought it in the black, and then when I bought it in the blue, it didn't fit the same or whatever. And it's like the behind the scenes things that you were just talking about that really, that's where a lot of the value is at with some of the things that you guys do and companies like yours. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's, a handful of companies that do it in the US too and do it well. You can't just, it's the old saying, they say, oh, it's production. Oh, that got messed up. Oh, it's production. My brother and I never say that. I mean, it's like, there's a reason, there's science behind it. There's a reason something got messed up. Some fabric will shrink when you iron it. Some fabric will get longer when you iron it. You're not going to know it till you do it. It's as simple as that. Raw denim is a tricky thing. I wear my raw denim. I never wash them. I try to go as long as possible. But I still need to know what happens to them when I do wash them, because obviously we have some commerce going on. We got to sell them. So you have to do that research to know what's going to happen with it. If a company made shirts and they fit differently, well, maybe one fits a bigger guy, one fits a smaller guy. But if the numbers get out of whack, it can be almost unfittable for anybody. And then that just means a mistake was made. And again, I'm not pointing the finger that like some company would purposely do that, but there is a lot of science, or just math, I should say. Science. Gosh, I was talking about science. No, there's just some math behind it that needs to be followed, and that comes usually with the shrinkage. But also, this is a very lightweight fabric. It's going to wear different to a fabric that's a little heavier, even if the shrinkage is the same. But yeah, that's there's so many things to get frustrated about. Fast fashion, I think, is the easiest way to put it, and it fills a need. If you need a $40 pair of jeans, you need to be able to get a $40 pair of jeans. I totally get that. It's to go into the mall with shopping bags is not, that's like eating fast food every day in a way, right? It's just, that's not what we want to push or recommend to others.
Oh yeah.
A $250 shirt is not for everybody. Trust me, my brother and I know that as well as anybody. It's an expensive situation. If you have the means and you can justify it by saying, okay, I trust that Freenote shirts are going to hold up. I only need 2 to 3 shirts for the season. You can start putting that money together to say, okay, am I buying 10 shirts from this brand or 1 or 2 shirts from this other brand? Not every situation operates like that. That's a very rough way to put it, because again, especially shop in LA, I understand, there is a service out there of affordable clothing that we get it. It basically comes from Asia, and that's it fills that need. It's just when it becomes like gluttonous, or a guy goes to a mall, and I don't want to name brands here. Okay, a guy goes to the mall and buys a brand that's like famous or popular or something, and when that's garbage, that's when I am like, come on, dude, like you spend the same amount of money because that person has the means. Sorry, that's why I brought up the shopping bag situation. Got your shopping bags at the mall. That person has the means to buy better. Then it goes all the way down the line of, okay, maybe there's some poor craftsmanship, like you're talking about the Amazon shirt, whatever brand that was that the review was on. But I've seen it. It's not a nice situation how this product is made overseas.
Right.
So I think everybody, especially now, wants to live a very honest, open, transparent, straight up life. Food goes into that, and so should clothing, right? There is some morality or ethics we should have. So if we're going to preach that this matters, we need to be very cognizant of how our clothes are being made, because I've seen it, it's bad. It's cheap labor. It's labor laws have changed all over the world. They're not as bad as they were even 10 years ago, but that's the beauty of making things in America. I don't love when necessarily minimum wage is going up, but it's like, I know exactly where that money's going. We're happy to pay more for it. And going back to a few questions ago, our customers trust what we're doing. So if things do go up a little bit, they at least understand something's happened because of it. But yeah, that fast fashion, I know I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. It serves a need, but it can become a little overwhelming. And there's too much negativity tied to it that is true. That just not the way any of us would want to live our lives. So
right. Yeah, no, and I think that is one of the aspects, anyways, that a lot of the guys and gals, like me, appreciate about a lot of the companies in the heritage community, right? Is not just the quality and the niche and the the style of it, but it's that aspect as well. Yeah.
And there are people, a lot of our guys that get it and support Freenote like to the fullest, that have the means to do it. They know they're supporting us, so getting a few extra shirts or a pair of jeans from us, that they know that goes a long way to the Freenote family. So, I never feel like that situation, because we just don't make that much of any product we make.
Right.
So, when people do partake in it more, at least they know where their money's going. And it really is trickling down and funding this. The thing my brother and I was passionate about. It all funds this manufacturing machine in California, which we love. I mean, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about the denim. Like, what do you love about your denim? Maybe what are some changes you made over the years? But like, both from a design standpoint, but also as just a wearer of your denim. Like, when you put a pair of your jeans on, like, what are you just like? Yeah,
Okay, so I'll answer the second part first. I love that we made them, because it's not me. I love that Freenote made them. Like, there's definitely pride in that. Like, yeah, I put these jeans on. I love the fact that I wear the same pair of jeans 250 days a year. That's simple. That simplifies my life. I wear the Tribuco fit. Not many other people do. We're actually making more of it because I feel like it has a future in the brand, but not many people kind of dig it yet or now. But it's like a little bit more of a classic, straight 16-inch leg opening. They're very nostalgic to me. It's like, I feel like it's something I'd like mow the lawn in or something. Okay, so I like that. That's a personal thing. All roads lead to narcissism. I like that I made a jean. Okay. The other parts that I wasn't aware of, or years before we started Freenote, I love like a worn-in indigo hue. I just love that color. Whether it brightens up or dulls, I like both ranges of it. I keep looking down here. I'm looking at a pair of jeans that has brightened up a little bit the more I've worn them. And I just love the hairs come off, the fibers come off, the hairs come off the denim, and the denim almost feels like leather. It gets really smooth. I love that look and color of the indigo. On the fit of the jeans, I like them. I can wear them with anything. They're not tight. They're not old 1940s 501. It's just that kind of mid-range 16-inch leg opening fit, regular 10.75-inch rise. I like that it provides comfort. I like that it looks great with a pair of boots, and it falls over my pair of boots, I guess properly. It's taken us a while to get. We have like 5 or 6 fits in denim. Every fit has had so much tweaking in it and getting it right. But the Tribuco is a fit I love. So I love the Tribuco fit. I love the way the denim looks. And yeah, there's obviously a part of it that I love that we made it. And I hear that. I hear that a lot from our customers, that people love the way the denim looks and fits. Done. That's it. That's all I need to hear. Do they fit? Do they fit? And look, you're buying something, you want to make sure it looks good too. It's like kind of the same mentality of making a product. You may as well make it the right way. But yeah, personally, a nice. I'm not huge into like the highs and lows of fades. My brother and I. Now I'm taking this in a different direction. My brother and I never pick denim on how it's going to fade. Even though that goes into how it wears. We mostly pick on the color, what it's going to become, and then that weight. We're always in that 14 to 15 ounce range, which, selfishly is great for California.
That's my favorite weight. I mean, I live in the same state, right? My favorite weight is right there in the middle. Perfect.
But yeah, I love a classic fitting pair of jeans. And I also feel like wearing a classic fitting pair of jeans, it's like, you're not going to look back at yourself 20 years ago and be like, well, those were really tight or something. It's like jeans, jeans. Those jeans look great with a t-shirt and a pair of boots. Jeans, I'll lightly talk about a fit that does really well for us called the Portola, one of our best selling fits. It just doesn't work for my brother and I. It works for bigger legs, bigger thighs. We had to develop a fit that didn't work well for us. So if I put that denim on, I wouldn't be like, hey, I love this fit. I love these jeans. It just wouldn't be right for me. But asking what I love that we developed a fit that works great for other people. Not necessarily for us, not for us at all. So yeah, 5 fits. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 6 fits. Yeah, we have 6 fits.
How hard? This might be a hard question to answer since it's not necessarily quantifiable or measurable. But how hard is it to get the top block right when you're making a certain cut of jeans? The reason I ask is I've tried many different companies, and I'm not a weird body size. I'm just like a normal slim guy, and I find that the balance is hard to find. So like, it's either too tight, as far as it may not look too tight, but as soon as I start walking upstairs, or maybe if I'm going to climb a ladder to do some light duty work, there's not enough room in the seat. But then if I go too big so that I have that extra room so that I can walk up the stairs without it pulling at the seat and the crotch, then now it looks baggy and unsightly. So how hard is it to get the top block right? And what are some things you guys have done to get that?
That all came in the development phase of each fit. Now we have, basically a front rise and a back rise that's always moving, but we always also keep it in the proper ratio or agreement with each size. So the back's not pulling like that, right? So you really got to get that shape. Remember those old Wrangler commercials, the U shape? You really got to get that shape like dialed. Once you have that dialed, you can really work off of it a lot. I mentioned like pre-rock and roll, like I think it's like a 1944 501 or 511. We'll just call it like more workwear high rise, which our competition doesn't play in too much. I feel like our competition's usually running slimmer stuff, but once you get the right high rise, it's like a life-changing thing. Like the jean comes up almost to your belly button, but when you bend over, you don't need to worry about anything coming out. It's comfortable, and then it's really nice when you are walking upstairs or sitting in your car. Like it's always in balance, and it's never like coming off, plumber style. So high rise we have in we have it in the Wilkes, in the Belford. A traditional rise is going to be about 10.5 inches. Again, depending on how the back rise is, that can change a little bit. So when I say I like the Tribuco, it's 10.75 or closer to 11. That means it has just a little bit more rise. Okay. We have a Wilkes fit and a Belford fit that my brother wears. I wear them too, but my brother wears them religiously. Those have like a 12-inch rise. So you're talking about adding like 20% to a normal rise. You go, 10.5, 12.5, whatever. That balance is tough to get right. You get to sample it, resample it, sample it some more. But once it's right, you can really start tweaking with, kind of what you're talking about, which is, making sure they're comfortable for driving, sitting in your car, to working. A lot of my job is manual labor, moving around rolls. We pick up all our fabric in Carson here in California, and there is a lot of work going on. And you do need to wear boots because you're dropping stuff on your feet, or you're at a factory, or maybe you just legally have to wear them. But that rise is a really tricky thing. But once you hit it, it's very easy to kind of adjust and make into new fits. So you got your regular rise, but I do love our high rise. It's a beautiful thing when you get the right high rise. It goes on like that, like special slipper boot where you're just like, that's just the right fit. And that would be like in your 12.5 inch range. But yeah, it's all balanced between that front, back, and the shape. Years to get that right, but you can also get lucky. We've had some fits that just kind of got lucky. It came in. Now we have enough fits that everything's being worked off of a current fit. So if we make a new fit, it's going to be close enough to one of our 6 fits. So your question that was very difficult to answer years ago is now very easy to achieve. Because we're going to work off of one of our current fits. But yeah, to answer it quickly, can be difficult. You can also get lucky. But yeah, just keep sampling until it comes out right. We're lucky. My brother and I are kind of sample size 32, so it's easy to kind of test out the product. But we've messed them up before, so yes, it was a bit difficult. We made things too tight, that's for sure.
Is 32 for you guys? Is 32 like the tag size, or is that your waist measurement?
Okay, so something changed like 20 years ago in clothing, where back in the day, 32 used to be 32. Now when you measure a 32 in any commercial garment, a 32-inch waist is going to measure about 33 and a half. I don't know if I went to the Gap with the tape. Well, no, I've done this before. I've gone to the Gap and Abercrombie with tape measures and just checked it out, see what's going on there. A pair of Gap chinos that says 32 will measure about 33.567 inches across. That's normal. Some guys, and that has nothing to do with vanity sizing or anything. Vanity sizing would be like a 31 measures like a 34. So we do chinos that are rinsed that kind of measure the same as if you went to any store and bought a pair of chinos. Denim's a little trickier because you're kind of like in your mind figuring out how much they're going to stretch. I mean, if you're used to wearing waist size 32, I don't think you want to go buy a 34 from a company, and you don't want to buy a 30 from a company. It's just going to be like, strange in your mind. So you want to have it close to that, but you're also guessing where that denim's going to end up after some stretch. So, we recommend stick to your true to size. People say true to size. Stick to your tag size for chinos. Maybe go down one size. So I wear 31 in our denim a lot. As we get older and make more and more, I care less and less about this stuff. In that, personally, I'll just throw on a belt. I'm like, it's fine. It's ready to go. These jeans are perfect. They're half inch big in the waist. That's not going to bother me. Like those little differences that used to drive me crazy. I knew I was my brother and I were developing a product for somebody. Now, all I wear is our seconds, imperfections, run in the fabric, maybe some stitching went awry in the denim. That I'll just kind of take what's left over, and if it's a little big or a little small, stretch them or just throw on a belt. So I get less picky about it because I know the mechanics of our denim. They use that word a lot. The mechanics of it, everything is proper. Meaning, we talked about the front rise, back rise is balanced, the thighs balanced with the knee, to the leg opening. You always want those numbers to kind of fit into what your scale or your ratio or, your numbers are going to be. For instance, if your waist is too big and your thighs too small, type of things, you got to stay away from those issues.
No, that makes sense, because if it's a little too big and you want to like shrink it with like hot water or the dryer or whatever, and the ratios are off, you might fix the top block and now you messed up the thighs, right?
In Freenote, we've messed that up many times. Not only a little bit for production. We had to kind of find special fits to fit into some of our product, but we mess it a lot through the sampling process. But we have some fits. I mean, we've sampled like, over a dozen times. I mean, that's 12 times you're cutting the sample out, sewing it, testing it, washing it, rinsing it, wearing it. It could be lengthy. I think that comes back to what we were talking about, that 5 years is the new 3 years. Developing clothes. I mean, it's not like someone's just going to hand over patterns to you and say, hey, make some clothes. I mean, there's going to be some, we started from scratch, but most people are going to start pretty close to scratch, so they got to kind of figure that stuff out for themselves.
So let's talk about the pockets a little bit. This is another question that's really hard to quantify, but like, what are your pockets like? So an issue I run into a lot is buy a pair of denim, never tried this brand before, and either the pockets are like huge, like they look weird, or I'm swimming in them, or the other problem, it's like, oh, they look really nice, but I can't put anything in them. I can't get my hands in my pockets. I feel like an idiot because they're so hard to get my hands in. I'm like fighting to put my hands in my pockets. What are your pockets like? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a scenario that some people like and put up with, right? Like they want their jeans to be tight. And I get it. We've talked about the higher rise. That's going to be your 1940s inspired 50s look. And then you're going to have your rock and roll denim. That's going to be, just think of like Axl Rose on stage, right? That's going to be your shorter rise, tight thigh, small, just kind of like a skinny jean. A skinny jean, your pockets are going to be tight no matter what. There's just no way to get around it. Which is one reason why I like a little bit of a more relaxed, bigger fit. But and I've worn our slim denim, maybe second or third year into the brand. Absolutely. I was testing our Avila fit. It's tough. You got to kind of wear them in to get into then you feel a little silly, but it's a look you're trying to achieve, and it's just how it is because you're wearing a tighter pair of jeans. There's no way to kind of have a looser, just to get in there, but that denim will loosen up. Pocket shape is kind of a black and white thing. It just kind of has its own traditional shape. But on the back pockets, that's a whole new ball game that we've been questioned on a lot. And again, my brother's doing, if not all of it, majority of that design. He just wanted each fit to kind of have its own pocket shape and look. So if somebody likes this pocket and wants to put it on this jean, it's like tough luck. We can't, answer everybody's wants or desires. So each fit has its own pocket shape. which isn't to say we down the road don't come out with another fit that uses a pocket shape that we already have, but we wanted to have an identifiable pocket on each fit. And then also identifiable because like we don't have like bedazzles on the back of them or, like stitching that is identifiable from a long way away. So if I'm out at a bar or concert when that stuff used to happen, I could see somebody wearing a pair of Freenote jeans. I've been at several bars where the bartender turns around, I'm checking out his jeans, checking out their butts, and I'm like, oh, that's Freenote jeans. I can tell by the pocket. That was my brother's goal, was to make it identifiable. However, some people might not like the pocket shapes. It's, not, our pockets shapes, our two back pockets aren't very traditional. They kind of have their own look to them, each one. And there's, obviously 4, 5, 6 different shapes to them. Front pockets, though, is all about what you were originally talking about, making sure that rise, the seat, the hips, you have a low hip, you have a high hip, making sure all those mechanics on the jeans are proper so that it's, paying for a pair of jeans at $250, you want that fit to be nailed.
I mean, it definitely breaks the mold, right? Like with most denim companies, it's their signature pocket shape or tag, or like you said, I think
we don't have that because we had different designs per.
Right.
But then I realized, and my brother has since then too. It's like, again, you just have ideas in your head. They don't like nobody else might be thinking about the freaking ideas. It's like this is how we want them to be, and that's why interviews like this are so like informative for anybody that wants to hear why we did them. But we realize they're just our ideas. We're not saying they're right or wrong. It's just, the pocket shape was, again, my brother's idea of how, he wanted our fits and, our look to flow through each one. And I love them. I don't, there was nothing, but I see where people want that traditional shape, that kind of Levi's 5-sided shape. I get people want that too. We just don't do that, but I don't know if we will one day or not, but we're not looking to just, but it is about identifying it without, Levi's has the tag or, like stitching and bedazzling and stuff. So that makes it unique. But I don't know if this was part of the interview or not, but the first thing we were talking about, all that stuff is out the window for me. It's about, does the product function? Where before you kind of have these grandioso ideas of like, this is how it needs to look and feel. It has to look like this. Like people need to know that's the Avila fit. Nobody cares. Jeans look good? Let's go.
Yeah. And I think you're hitting the nail on the head with that in the sense that in my experience with heritage clothing anyways, whether it's boots or hats or shirts or the denim, it usually starts off with, hey, I love that look. But after you get some experience and you're a veteran, it really is about the functionality. Like there's a lot of stuff I used to be excited about certain things and I'm not anymore because it doesn't function. And there's other things that I used to say, nope, never going to do it. I don't like the look. And then over a few years' time, I've grown toward it. And I'm like, okay, actually, this is the stuff. So
yeah. It's subjective, but I agree with exactly what you're saying. And I'm not saying, it comes with age or anything. Like we're still, young dogs here, but it just cared, less and less, and just more about the functionality of the product. Yeah.
So the name Freenote, where did it come from? Like, what does it mean to you guys? Is it special? Or like, what is that? Yeah.
Well, it is special to us now. Coming up with it was a different process, but it's like a band name. It was two things. Every band name sounds a lot cooler if the band is good, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like AC/DC? That sounds so dumb. And then they get famous and it's like AC/DC.
And some bands have really sick stories of how they came up with the brand, or the band name. Sorry, not the brand name, the band. Well, I guess the brand too, but you know what I'm saying. So ours isn't. There's no cool epiphany light on story to it. It's just straight up. We needed a name of a company, a brand, and you go through this IP process, intellectual property, which you couldn't call your jeans Mercedes jeans because there's Mercedes cars. So that thing can get really tricky, and you're just trying to come up with a name that like isn't our name, isn't our last name, just something that also is easy to pronounce. If it's not in the dictionary, there's no free note in the dictionary. Free is and note is, but put it together, free note's not the dictionary. So, we kind of made up a word that, wouldn't have any intellectual property behind it, right? So we had all these names down, and things that just sounded good. And then Freenote came together. Some of those names, he was like, Freedom, Free. Let me think. I think Blue Note Records was on there. Maybe Noteworthy was on there. But then we just kind of put Freenote together. It was easy. It's also very easy to say. Like, what's the name of your company? Freenote. Every now and then at a bar, I'll say Freenote, and people will be like, Fritos? And I'm like, name of my company is Fritos. I started. Yeah, we had fun with Fritos. That's happened a few times. And that happened right when we started. I remember looking at my brother, I was like, oh, dude, you got to be like, really? Freenote. And then when people hear it, they're like, oh, Freenote. No one knows what the hell Freenote is, but at least it's easy to say, easy to pronounce, easy to spell. But there is no big explanation behind it. It's just the name of our company. But we love it. I mean, we loved it when we came up with it, but we really do love the name. I mean, Freenote has, a lot of Americana into it. It's got a lot of workwear into it. It's got a lot of heritage into it. We don't do any vintage reproduction, but we, at times you're working with period specific things. We like the Western in it. And I think Freenote somehow kind of encapsulates all that. It's like, is that the right word? I don't know. It feels like it all goes in there together. So now we loved it then, but we really like everything we do we feel like flows into Freenote as a brand. But yeah, it's I always think of the band stories. Sometimes you hear some sick stories about like bands coming up with names. But then sometimes you hear stories of people just like us. Hey, we just needed a name. They don't want to call it ourselves, No offense to, well, obviously relevant now, but Van Halen's an amazing name, but some last names work, some don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. My name's not a good band. I'm gonna go see Birchfield in concert. It's like, yeah.
But you're looking for that simplicity, though. But Dave, you're looking for that simplicity, though.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to spend there is no epiphany. There is no like, oh, that's the name. It just popped in. It's like you're just trying to figure out something that works. Repeating myself for the 100th time, and none of that stuff even matters. It's just, again, to us, it all comes back to the product.
And so, like, I know you just said it doesn't matter, but like, so cloth, Freenote Cloth, you would expect it to be Freenote Clothing. Was there a reason behind?
Just defining. It just defines the word. I think that's the right way to say it. It's just a defining, like, what does Freenote do? So we use Freenote Cloth as cloth kind of defines what Freenote is.
Got it.
I don't know why we chose Freenote Cloth over Freenote Clothing. The legal name is Freenote. We use Freenote Cloth. I know my brother and I specifically added cloth. He specifically, I think, came up with Freenote. Yeah. Cloth, whatever. But I knew what it was. We knew it was defining. We knew cloth was defining to what Freenote was. Where if you see it, like a lot of our tags are branding, you see Freenote Cloth, you have some idea that cloth is close to clothing. I get it. It could be like, bed sheets or something too, but
yeah, no, I mean, the impression I get it, right, is kind of what you're saying and what you've explained in that it's like you guys have a lot of emphasis on the fabric and you really go through that. It's not like you're focused on the clothing and then you just slap whatever like materials laying around. You're like starting with the cloth and making stuff out of it. So yeah, just wondering about that.
Yeah, I don't know if the clothing thing sounded too like cheesy for us at the time. This is 6 years ago. This is not that long ago, but I can't really truly remember here. But again, specifically, I just knew it was defining to the word Freenote is why we had it on there. Yeah, I don't know if clothing. Maybe we just thought Freenote Clothing was too long, but we're happy we made it the way it is because there's names out there that, whether I think they're detrimental or not doesn't matter, but there are bad names. I mean, that are detrimental to a brand's growth. Like books have covers, We never want to judge a book by its cover, but it still happens. I mean, there's a reason to say, sayings there. So,
oh, totally. I mean, so
you know what I mean? I mean, there's things that can take, food, a restaurant, music. I mean, there's my wife and I talk about. There's bad names out there for, some bands that we're like, oh, but then the band's pretty sick.
No, I mean, you're totally onto something there in that. So, like, my first experience with Freenote Cloth, nobody told me about you guys. It wasn't a pop-up, but it was like I don't know, there was a link or something. I don't even remember. There's a link on someone else's website or something. And I clicked on it. It's like Freenote Cloth. What is that? So I clicked it. And this was last year sometime, I think. And you might remember. So I don't know. who your model is, but there's a guy, he's got like blonde hair and he slicks it back. But he's sitting there with one of your red shirts. It might have been a version of the Lancaster, I don't know. And he's got this brown Martin guitar.
Yeah, Joey.
And,
Gosh, yeah.
okay, yeah. So I saw it. I was like, that's my guitar. I have the same guitar. It's like maybe not the exact same year and run, but like it's this, double O or triple O Martin guitar that like guys that play music like me, they like that kind of thing. He's wearing clothes like I like to wear, and it was like, I think I resonate with this company. And I hadn't even looked at your product page yet. So anyways, just to say that, yeah, you're right. I think we judge a book by its cover, and
that's all we want is for it to resonate somewhere. We know how much we put into the company. That's what it is. We feel like the only competition is ourselves. I told you how we felt about the frustration coming into this market was not cool and not what we wanted, not the experience we wanted breaking in. But we want to happen what you just said is a few things resonate. I'm into music. I don't have to be an expert at it. Josh Jovi, the model you're talking about, by the way, is an expert musician. He is lead guitar at not Queens of Stone Age, gosh, Eagles of Death Metal. And he's done many of his own acts too. But we just kind of like the look and the feel. It's like we don't all have to. It's not a competition. Who knows more? I mean, you remember those conversations as you're like getting older. Like somebody just wants to like throw up how much they know about like heritage. I mean, I can grab an encyclopedia and a book too, and like I can brush up too. It's like it's not a competition of cool, and it's certainly not a competition of how much you know versus somebody else. Forget all that stuff. Do you like the product? And then after that, the part that I think I keep mentioning is, does this product work? Is it functional? Certainly does it last? I haven't mentioned that, but of course that box has to be checked. And then all that becomes a beautiful thing. That's where the beauty comes out, but it's not, oh my gosh, we do all the Rin Tanaka. It's not doing it this year because of Corona, but Inspiration LA, it's a big heritage show. My brother and I did it because we liked it. And then now, after a few years, we've been like accepted into the show. But we haven't changed anything. Like, you like us now, but you don't like us then. I don't really know. But at times, it's a bit of a competition of like, who knows more about clothing. And we don't want to. The biggest thing my brother and I want to put out, well, we want you to have that experience. Hey, click in. Hey, I like that. This guy's got music. I'm into music. Obviously, you know more about the guitar. But some guys really like Eagles of Death Metal, and they know Josh from that. And then now they like Freenote. So there's that stuff too. But my brother and I just work hard. And things have, thank goodness, fallen into place because of that. But it's never been about a who knows what more, this, that, like, which it felt like that kind of coming into the business, I mean, now, like, so what? I'm in the factory 5 days a week. Like, what are you doing? Like, what? I'm not, I didn't know it was a competition like that. It's just, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different, right? So the next guy might go on the website at the same time I did, and he's like, he sees a guy with a guitar, and he's like, "This is dumb. I don't want to go here," So yeah, everyone's different.
Sure, they're like, I don't even know where I put my cowboy hat. It's like, who's the idiot in the cowboy hat? It's like, it's not. We're just, I don't want to say this is who we are. F you. It doesn't come across like that, but it is important for people to be accepting. And if it's not your cup of tea, all good. Move on.
So tell us a little bit about the details, like the buttons and stuff like that, because that's one fascinating part to me. On your product pages, you'll see it'll be like, these are made of bone and we got them from this place, or these are vintage buttons that we found. We made these ones out of wood. That stuff's cool, little details. Tell us about that. That's cool.
Is a rope snap bone fill. I don't know how it's coming across there, but the inspiration behind this was a turquoise ring that had the rope around it. And we've done this with turquoise too, which came out really bitchin'. But the bone fill, like, just has a great feel to it. It's like soft and durable almost at the same time, like soft and strong. Yeah, like a bone. There you go, soft and strong. But all of our stuff's done custom. So, like, sometimes I call it Freenote Customs in a way of like what we do when I'm explaining the product to people. Like, everything we do, as much as we can do, we do custom. As much as we can possibly put out there. So, from fabric, this is a custom plaid that we designed with a custom button, and of course the fit is custom. And if you're making it yourself, through our factories. But we wanted to put that same emphasis on the labeling and the buttons as we did with the fit, realizing it's not as important. fit and fabrication is what it's all about. But people really do notice and appreciate what we put into, our trims. Could even be a leather patch, any sort of trims that goes on the garment. People do appreciate. The reason why my brother and I like it so much is you have to do it anyway. You have to make a button. It doesn't cost more to make it necessarily better. Now, obviously, using bone over plastic is more, but we're already going to be in that lane. We're already going to make it as nice as we can. So, why not make it cool or put a little Freenote branding into it? But it's not, I know my brother would say we don't want to overlook anything. Then we also try to source as much as we can through like, I don't know, they like allied nations. I don't know, like friends, like Japan, Italy. We try to source as much as we can. And we even do some stuff out of Mexico too. So it's nice. We want to know about it.
So stuff like these buttons, you're having it made exclusively for you guys, or is it stuff that you just find?
No, okay. So for this specific thing, my brother would find an inspiration, and then we recreate it into a button. Literally, this rope snap came off an idea of a turquoise ring.
Got it.
But we develop them with the factories, custom to Freenote. We don't necessarily we don't buy off what they offer. The reason why I said don't necessarily is some of the denim makers in Japan show us denim they've developed. And if we like it, we'll just buy it. They've done all the work, right? So we didn't develop the denim. We didn't say we wanted it 15 ounce, broken twill, left hand, whatever. We just took what they provided and made jeans. That's happening less and less, but that still happens. Absolutely. So that part isn't fully custom. Making a button would be, or label, we would make from scratch. And then we work with various artists, illustrators that kind of help clean up the imagery of some of the things. The label on a shirt looks like a basic thing, but there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Nostalgic.
Pardon?
It's nice. It's nostalgic. It adds to the look. Doesn't need to be.
Yeah, it comes back to this look. Like we want it to be. We have a heritage vibe. We have a kind of West Coast rock and roll vibe for sure. And then we have the Western vibe, which is just Westerns become more and more popular. Even in shows and movies and stuff. And we love that. I mean, that's American, right? Like the Wild West is American. It took place in the United States.
Yeah.
So we've, do our best to recreate it or have some inspiration by it. I mentioned before we don't do vintage reproduction, which some brands do a beautiful job at. So that's finding a vintage piece and literally recreating it exactly as it was made or intended to be made. We'll take inspiration from it. Those sort of things you have to keep period specific, but they kind of limit you because you're basically just going off of what somebody else already did. However, there's a whole different side of the business through workwear heritage that fits that. That's not totally Freenote. But Western has become more and more prevalent through Freenote. I don't know if it's age, my brother's taste, my taste, just how much we like snaps. Like San Juan Capistrano is a very Western, small Southern California town. So we're surrounded by that a lot. But rock and roll was always there. Western was always there. The Western has been more pronounced in the brand for sure. Yeah.
Nice. So you've got what looks to be certain pieces that are your core pieces, like, be like the t-shirts, the utility shirt and stuff like that. Are there any that are just kind of like one-offs? You do it, you never do it again? I mean, maybe the basic gut is the same. What are some prominent ones that you guys have?
In what category would you pick?
Well, I mean, maybe shirts. That's probably a good one because the jackets, it's pretty clear that a lot of those are a single run. Because you're not going to make 1,000 of those every year. Right. So let's talk about the shirts. Yeah.
So when we develop the fabric, which is working with the mills, either in Italy or Japan, we're asking somebody to make something a certain way, exclusive to Freenote. Anytime you do that, in a good way, they kind of have you over the barrel because you have to make a certain yardage, a certain amount, right? So if you're doing a custom fabric, you're gonna have to jump into at least 500 yards, which is nice. Times that by $10 a yard, it's a little more than that, but it's worth everybody's time. Sometimes we buy open stock that the mills already produce. And when we buy it, we'll ask for it to be exclusive. So Freenote and then like brand A, B, and C doesn't have the same fabric, which happens in the business. I've seen it's happened to us. Whenever it happens, it just gets funky. You're just like, oh, because nobody ever wants to be compared to anything, even like to anything, right? You just don't want to be yourself. So anytime our fabric gets used somewhere else, it's not our fabric. The fabric gets used somewhere else. It just kind of creates a funky situation through nobody's real fault in a way. But the reason I'm saying that is sometimes we do buy open stock of a limited quantity of fabric, and that creates a beautiful situation. A limited piece. Maybe we make 50 of this shirt. We bought, said mill in Japan's last 200 meters of, plaid flannel, and we get to make a limited shirt. Nobody else buys it because maybe no one else picked it, or we bought the exclusivity to it in another way. We bought more colors, whatever. But in that way, we'll get a small amount of fabric. That's when you can make really exclusive pieces. Because we're doing more business with the factories, we can make exclusive pieces because they will like bend the rules for us, where they have minimums they want to hit. They don't want to keep changing the machines, the thread on the machines. It's a bit of work. So every now and then we'll get some exclusive fabric, and we'll recognize it as like, oh, this is exclusive, and we'll sell 50 of them. That creates such a cool thing because you're like, that's 1 of 50. I mean, that's pretty bitching to be able to, have that or buy that.
Oh yeah.
So that happens. The shirting, it happens when we make shirts. It happens more in that. I've made some cool samples, just one-off things of denim. I know that's not what you're asking, but we just had like some denim and wanted to make a pair of jeans for myself. Like that's always a fun thing, but that's no one else gets to see that, I guess. That's but the part I wanted to talk about was we're able to do some really custom stuff with the leather that we're working with, because that's making leather jackets the way we do has no scalability to it. Like we have one leather maker that sews the jacket. You can make about a jacket and a half a day. We don't want him to make any more. Like we don't want, he's just a very skilled sewer from Lyon that is also a sample maker. From what my brother and I have seen, he's the best sewer we've ever seen. But it kind of comes with a story. When you get a Freenote leather jacket, it's all made by the same person. That shit gets really custom. Like that is awesome. Then you're buying it. Now the jackets, may cost 12 or 15, 14, 1500 bucks. But you're really getting a killer exclusive experience. Leather that myself and my brother picks out, patterns that my brother and I have worked on, to the final good made by one guy sewing the jacket is pretty rad. So I know you're asking about different categories. That's why I was wondering if there's a category you were thinking about, but shirts, it happens mostly kind of by luck. But with jackets, it's intended to be that way because we have one guy and we can pay one guy to sew the jacket, and it's worth everybody's time. I mean, this guy is the best sewer. I mean, if he was if he was a chef, he'd be a famous chef. He's like, artist, he'd be Rembrandt. I mean, he's as good as, he's amazing. He's making these leather jackets for Freenote for us to obviously sell to other people, or, my brother and I wear them ourselves. But that's a really kind of getting close to bespoke, individual, special like scenario. It's easy for me to answer your questions because that right there explains what I'm passionate about. Working to get this product made for one person that's going to buy a jacket for $1,500. I mean, that's so much money, and they're happy to get such an amazing product. If this jacket sold at like, for like Gucci or something, it'd be a $5,000 jacket. You know what I mean? It's that special. But that really gets into the custom stuff. Like the leather jacket stuff. And when this guy's not making our leathers, he's doing other production. He's part of a factory we work with. But we're lucky to have our hands on. This guy's amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you've mentioned some of them already, but what are some of your favorite pieces that you guys have created? Whether you wear them or not, like what are some of the ones that you're just like, that makes me happy?
Yeah, this shirt, I just has a Western feel to it. It has kind of a grandpa feel to it. It's super lightweight. It's more comfortable and lighter than wearing a t-shirt. I like when items, this is different. Obviously my brother would answer it differently in pieces that he's proud of, but I like when pieces can be, very like diverse. You can use them for, many different situations, or what I'm trying to say is when many different types of people can wear the same shirt in a different way. I enjoy that. That's, obviously everything fits into this Freenote look and feel, but I like when things can kind of be worn differently and freely and with different styles. Other pieces that I'm proud of. I mean, my brother and I've spent so much time the past year on some of our outerwear jackets, which kind of goes into the leather. Those pieces are really fun. Our rider's jacket, which most of our supporters are aware of, is just like, again, a great mixed use jacket, wax canvas, lined with like a durable Japanese kind of southwestern print. That jacket was in, well, speaking of Western being more popular, that jacket was in Yellowstone. The Casey Dutton wears it. That's kind of helped with some of the publicity of the brand. That's been fun. But watching, I know it's acting, but watching them wear it like in such a cool way is, the guys like riding horses and like killing people, it's like, whoa, like, pretty radical. So that's been a piece that's kind of transcended the brand or gotten us to a different level, kind of transcended our initial or our core audience, not our initial, our core audience. So that's the rider's jacket. But yeah, simple things like when I'm wearing the Lancaster shirt and then just looking around the shop here, I'm definitely like not the most proud of. I'm just stoked to be working on the leather because it is so like, such a one-off experience. There's just no way to scale it. There's no scalability to, which would mean like producing more of them, and we don't want to. We just want to make a few.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I haven't asked about?
Nothing comes to mind. Help me out here.
Yeah, I mean, there doesn't have to be anything.
Oh, yeah, I'll talk about something then. Like kind of the future of not Freenote, but made in America menswear.
Yeah.
Manufacturing in New York, LA, and San Francisco. It used to be so much more prominent. More people were doing it. Brands that we see in the malls, brands that, let's face it, no one outside people are clicking into. Not many people are aware what Freenote is, but big brands used to make a good portion of their stuff in America. We know why they're not. Costs. Which individually, when they make that decision, is a logical decision. But for people listening, and this isn't just Freenote, but there are still a group of brands that are making things, and I'm not saying the right way. That's not where I'm coming across here, but that are making product in the U.S. That need to be supported, and it's for the future of the whole industry. I mean, there's still a lot of factories in LA that make well-made product, but it's a fraction of what it used to be. When I was in school, I studied economics and had a professor say, this is 2003 and like tech's going off, right? Like, we want jobs in America that are like tech jobs. We don't want to be making t-shirts in America. And he was adamant about that, and everyone in the class agreed. I'm sitting there, was like, how could that be right? Like, how, as big as the population is in the U.S., why would we not? That would almost be like, we don't want farming or something. It's such a, obviously, farming's huge compared to what we're talking about, but why would you not want to make t-shirts in the U.S.? Which is, this guy came out of his mouth and he was like 100% sure of him saying. Now I know we need to make t-shirts in the U.S. There's also an environmental part that I like to hit on it. Is, clothing doesn't need to go all the way around the world to make it to you. It just doesn't have to be that way. Just like eating healthy costs more, so does wearing nicer clothing. And I say this coming from a part that Freenote is just a very small part of the of the thing I'm talking about. But to me, it is a very valuable excursion we're all on. And some people have been doing it for many, many years, and there are many brands that are making many units in LA that stuck with it. But we know why they left. We know why the brands left. It's just nice that there are still some brands doing it, and I totally encourage people to do their best to participate in it, even if it's just like buying a t-shirt a year from a brand you like.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff I see every day. Like in LA, I see the kind of ebbs and flows of LA manufacturing, and a lot of manufacturers. I'll finish up this part with this. Went out of business when Corona started because everything just got canceled. And then what came in to keep them in business? Masks, literally. We're going to lean on these factories to make masks. And then what? Like, we needed them to make masks. So these aren't like the K95, KN95 ones, that have some technical parts to it, but they're masks that work. You put your coffee filter in or your filter in, and they work as good as any other mask. All the factories we work with were making hundreds of thousands of masks. If they weren't there in the first place, who was going to make all of our masks? Like, where were they going to come from? I mean, just little things like that. That's why we need to, support local or our community. We've been big on the small business thing because it's like, why not? Like, I don't think you can ever lose in, pushing the small business narrative, especially when it is what we all are. But I just looked at like the the convenience of one of our factories was making masks for Trader Joe's. And they're making like 100,000 masks for Trader Joe's. That was like the purchase order. And then they had Freenote get made in the corner, because a lot of people ran. I mean, when Corona started, it was cockroaches and lights came on, man. It was like, we knew we had to help keep the companies in business, the factories, or else they weren't going to be there for us now. So Freenote on March 15th? Well, it seems so long ago. Just started pushing product as much as possible just to keep our, factories afloat, or the factories we work with afloat. But those factories were here for us, like us now, all of us, making masks, and they still are. And let's face it, I don't care whether people like masks or don't like masks. The masks are going to be needed and around for, the foreseeable future, and they're being made right here, just like at an affordable rate. It's like a couple bucks a mask. It's like, what's the difference whether a mask is like $5 or $3? Just pay $5, get a mask. So that's like my plea is to kind of help keep. And again, I mean, I say this accurately. Freenote is a very, 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 very small part of what I'm saying, but just to kind of keep this American manufacturing, sector alive of just making clothes. And I'll always remember back in 2003, the PhD. You got to be a PhD doctor to teach economics in college is telling me we don't need to make T-shirts. And I'd be like, well, who's going to make our masks when Corona happens? Obviously, I'd be like a genie in a bottle telling them that, but I think you get the point, right? I mean, these guys made hundreds of thousands of masks. It was like a beautiful thing, and it wasn't for commerce. People always said, why didn't Freenote make masks? Or are we going to make them? And I was like, wait, we have it covered. Our factories make. I'll give you masks. Like, who needs masks? I got them. I'll buy them from the factory. They're already being made. Like, I don't know how to make them better. They look pretty killer. You put your filter in there, you're ready to go. So that was like the business was set up there, and then it was there for us when we really needed it. A lot of these factories were in, and for no fault of their own, our faults, like Americans' faults, for getting addicted to buying cheap stuff. That's why these factories were doing bad. The mass production that these factories did got these guys back in like a livable, profitable state. A lot of these factories, Freenote we couldn't make enough to keep these guys going. I mean, our cuts of jeans are 250, 300 pairs, 150 pairs, a cut. They're not 3,000 like, a big box brand. So, yeah, that's a story I'll leave with is those guys were there for us when we needed them. Let's not sweep them under the rug because we're done with them.
Yeah.
And who would have known, right? But again, going back to, and I know I'm not that sharp and smart, but I knew that guy was wrong when he said that America doesn't need to be making T-shirts. I was like, that just doesn't seem right. And everybody in the class was like, yeah, good, yeah, we need technology, right? And it's like, yeah, but what's wrong with making T-shirts? Like, that's like, we need another country to make our T-shirts for like cheaper. It just didn't. The whole situation didn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I can resonate with that just from being someone who was in the trades for like 10 or 12 years. I mean, we're all needed, right? So we it's a Silicon Valley, right? So we're like the tech center of the United States, if not the world. We got Google here, Apple, Samsung, Motorola, like all those companies, they're all here. And we were wiring their lights for them, we're building walls for them. We're building buildings for them. So it takes all sectors. And yeah, what would happen if
for life?
right? Like what would happen if another thing like coronavirus came, or God forbid something like the Second World War, where like all of a sudden we got to build everything ourselves. We can't go to this other country and build it anymore because they're either occupied by an enemy or they are the enemy or whatever. Like God forbid, whatever strange situation arises, it is nice that we have all of that going on here. Yeah.
We just want to keep it here in a small way. We also know that the trade we're in it is what it is. It's not going to blow up. We're not here to, make millions of dollars and have Range Rovers. We're just here to kind of keep our passion going. And that's okay. But we want to at least keep that sector alive. And I'm in sewing factories almost daily. Sometimes it seems like a vibrant situation where it's like, okay, this is good. This is like, this is going to keep going, right? This is sustainable. Or then other times I'm like, oh man, that factory just closed down. Whoa, there's like 100 people working in there. Like that still happens too. And it's not like if we drove around and be like, oh, there's a new factory. There's nowhere to point to a new factory. So, kind of keeping the trade going is, definitely something I plead to people with. We never want to prey on people to buy Freenote. Like, there's more important things to do with your money, including saving money. But there is a balance to supporting brands. I think that's a balance, comes back to a small business point. Like there is a balance where you got to buy clothes anyway, right? So I get it. If you are taking part in the fast fashion for financial reasons, that totally makes sense. It's just, it kills me when we have so many friends that I don't even know if malls exist anymore, if they're even open through Corona. I have no idea. I have no idea if malls are open in California. But if they are open, people go in there, let's just say in February, people go in there shopping, and you're just like, no, we make like better stuff at very comparable pricing, So I appreciate you. I don't know who the audience is, but I know it's every person that watches it is going to find out about Freenote. So I appreciate that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, I got into this doing the interviews and stuff because it's just something I love. And I strongly resonate with not just the materialistic aspect of it, of like, oh, that's cool clothing or whatever, but the whole idea behind it, like some of the stuff you've been sharing, like being able to continue these trades right here in the US, being able to, collaborate with people in some of the other nations, like, you're making it here, but you're collaborating with Italian textiles or Japanese or whatever.
Yeah, and all those relationships that have been forged, those are personal for us. I mean, I understand that, but all those were enabled because of what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just trying to put this out there for the average person like me who's, or maybe there's some of them that aren't even into it yet, but it's something they've been looking for. Because where I was at was, so let's see, like junior high is when I started to get interested in this kind of thing, but it didn't exist then. So I always imagined, man, if I could dress however I wanted, I would have, just like this rugged but really cool, just like, like what you guys make in some of the other brands that I like, just kind of like this Americana, California, rocker, Western, all that put together, kind of just like really hardy and rugged. And that's what I want to wear. Well, but as I looked around, it didn't exist. And now it does. And so I just want to like help it continue to grow. Yeah.
What you just described is basically what I consider to be just American style.
Right.
Growing up, surfing, skating, like streetwear was that's just not part of Freenote, and I know that has been blended into other brands, but all the adjectives you just used to my brother and I kind of sums up, like American style. And there are some things like I just mentioned that, kind of part of it that's just not who, my brother and I are. So those adjectives you used, I think really sum up, like what you were into in junior high, kind of that look and feel, and it also can just come down to like jeans, t-shirt, and a nice pair of boots,
Mm-hmm. So I always end the interviews with some kind of warm, fuzzy question. No, but really something more like personal and special. So I really appreciate that you and your brother are doing this together. What's the most special thing about being able to work as brothers? Like, what do you enjoy the most, or even if it's just like some really great memory that you guys have of doing this? Like when this is all said and done, what do you think you'll value the most looking back on doing this as brothers?
I'm thinking about the answer, but I'm also realizing that answer would change if you asked me, whatever, every couple months. Right now, we are really stoked and proud that we are paying ourselves off something we created. So like every dollar we got to pay to a mortgage or groceries, it's from something we've created. Like right now, that feels really cool to do that with my brother. So there's been major turbulent times getting Freenote to at least a sustainable place. Where at least right now, I feel like we're sustainable. Gosh, so much has happened though in the past 6 months. I don't know, but we're really proud of like being able to bring home just a little bacon just to pay the bills off of what we created, not somebody else paying us, to do a service or a job for them. Again, I truly believe all roads lead to narcissism. I think there is some narcissistic feelings there, but like we're like, I use the word stoked, like, and a little bit humbled that we're able to at least pay the bills off of product we've created. That feels good. And then to do it with your brother, that's, we're doing it together. People that know my brother and I, we're not that alike. We just kind of like the same things, but we have completely different personalities. And we butt heads a lot too. It's not, some brotherly love fest here. But it's always healthy, and it's always like, what's going to help support the team, support Freenote. We just made a new hire like a month ago. It's pretty killer to be hiring people now. And that is like, when you have a small team, every person you hire is like, not risky, but it's like exciting. You're bringing a whole other element to it. So, but yeah, I think the simple occurrence of taking home a little bit of a paycheck that pays our bills off of what we created, like feels good. Now, I understand anybody that started a business would be able to answer it that way, but you're asking me what makes us feel good right now. I know my brother feels the same way. Like we've talked about it. Like that part feels good for both of us right now. So no lasting impressions, no like monumental things. It's just that simple thing of like, we've covered the bills for the month off of something, that we've created together. And then, of course, there's all the heartfelt memories of getting it to this point, which I hope we're just scratching the surface. But that part, like, truly feels good as a father or whatever,
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I think that's what we're created for. I think that's something that's super American at its core, right? That whole thing of just like, it might be a simple existence, but being able to provide, having that opportunity. So no, I think that's a great answer. Yeah.
I never thought that, but absolutely it is. I mean, we're American dudes. Obviously we grew up here. Not that that's imperative or anything, but we grew up here. We're making what we consider to be American style. Supporting as much American product as possible. At the very least, manufacturing side, right? Kind of doing it our way. And we're stoked that enough people have at least recognized that part so far.
Mm.
We went to a show in Europe for a menswear show, or Heritage Men, all the brands that we all love and know, which is awesome because I talked about the negative brands. I shouldn't, I haven't talked about the positives. There's so many brands we're so close with, seeing them at a trade show is an amazing thing. And maybe me not talking about that didn't paint the picture right. There's amazing brands out there. It's just getting accepted into the kind of California scene was tricky for us. So just being open there. But you go to these shows and you get to see, friends from Japan, Europe, like we like love what they're doing. They like what we're doing. And we went to a shop and they're like, oh, and I was like, just here. I hope someday you can carry Freenote. Like, yeah, we got this brand that does Americana, like amazing, really well. And I'm like, yeah, we're from America. Like what? You're like the best shop. We're just trying to, be in here. Like we're like the American company doing it really well. I'm like, no, we got this like European company that's doing Americana really well. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's like, I know, but like, we're the guys doing it, and if the roles were reversed, how does this conversation go? And the guy laughed just like you're laughing, but was also kind of bummed because I was like, I don't think he realized that he was in a way kind of offending me, a little bit. And my brother, does the first thing he said when we walked out of there. He's like, I'm like, well, obviously that's how I handled a lot of the sales too at Freenote, but that's that conversation has happened before. But I think there is the brands that are doing whatever their version is of Americana in America is badass, So all of them, like no exceptions, right? Like all of them, because it's that's pretty much as legit as it gets, right? Like all the way down to manufacturing. So, but yeah, that funny that happened to us in Europe. Almost like it would be like if you're like a band and you came up to like play at a venue you always wanted to play at, right? And like the promoter, maybe you know what I'm going to say, was like, no, I got a cover band playing a Freenote, and we love them, and that we get all their product, and you're sitting there.
Oh no, it's. I think I can totally see why that would mess with you, and it's hilarious, but also really frustrating. But just,
and we actually loved the brand that they were talking about. I didn't know what brand they were talking about until they pointed it out. I mean, all the same. Look, the business is small. All the companies know each other. Try to. I'm not putting it out. We try to be inclusive. I wish more people were. I said that now, but most of the brands, outside, we all do get along and know each other well. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen any like negative thing happen where like fighting for like, hey, carry us, not like that doesn't happen in our business. Like carry us and not carry them. Like I've never seen that happen because there's so many shops we're not in. So I kind of at least get to see almost like a bird's eye view of it. Well, got a customer here.
Cool. Well, let's wrap it. Congratulations for making it this far. I'm proud to be part of what you guys are doing. I appreciate you guys, and thanks for coming on the channel. This has been great.